it's the Mark Zuckerberg example where he wears the same wears the same type of clothes every day, right? Simply because he does not want to think about, it's one less decision he needs to make. In the real estate industry, you already have enough items to think about that are going to rattle your cage on a daily basis. Why should social media and marketing be one of them if there are so many other talented people out there that can help you with it, so that you could just get that off your plate? You read it for 5 minutes, what your social is going to look like for the day or for the week. Let someone else post it for you.
Welcome to the Bulletproof Cashflow podcast. Let's get into the show.
Hey everyone, this is Augustino. Applying a digital marketing strategy is key to getting known online. It'll help you attract investors about your real estate business and maybe even pull in some deals. Well, today's guest has over 15 years of digital marketing experience in all formats and has a wealth of information of what works and what doesn't work in the digital marketing space. He is the founder of Effectivo Social, a full-service digital marketing agency where he works with developing comprehensive digital marketing strategy campaigns, leveraging passion with analytics. With all that, I'd like to welcome Jeff Mendelson to the show. Hey, Jeff, thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you so much for having me, man. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. But before we go on, if you like what Jeff has to say, you can reach him via his website at jeffmendelson.com. And of course, if you like our content, please don't forget to leave a comment and rate the show. And finally, if you text the word freedom to 202-410-4202, you'll get our free ebook, The Bulletproof Guide to Finding a Broker. Okay, Jeff, go ahead and tell listeners about how you got your started in all this digital marketing stuff.
Sure. So while I was working in corporate, I was incredibly bored in that they never gave me enough to do. I was always in these mid management positions where I was maybe responsible for myself or one or two people tops. But bottom line, I would get all my work done by about 11:30 in the morning, and it's not like you can just go home after that. So I needed to stick around. And what happened was I just started talking about I just started talking about how was I gonna get ahead, because I felt like I was, I was building someone else's dream, just working in someone else's corporate job. So around that time, about 15 years ago, if you go back to where we were in this country, everyone became a real estate agent, right? And I was like, yeah, I could do this. So I went out and I got my mortgage broker license, right? And I thought to myself, like, okay, what's the first thing I need? I need a website, right? I spent the next 4 months building a website for my mortgage broker business, but I did nothing for actually selling mortgages. As a matter of fact, I couldn't even do a refinance for my brother that was basically the biggest gimme, client out there. And yeah, I was just terrible at it. But, one guy tapped me on the shoulder. He's like, look, Jeff, I don't think you're going to make it as a mortgage broker, but your website looks really nice. Why don't you focus on that? And that's basically how it got started. And I was trying to figure out, like, okay, what would be the best way for me to do it? So one thing leads to another, and I start looking at different programming languages in order to create a website, because I was doing each website page by page, and that's just the 1998 way of doing things, right? And what I ended up on was a content management system, which now all of us use, like Joomla, WordPress. So I established myself as a Joomla expert. And that was great. That was a great start. I have since moved on to building WordPress sites, but the act of building a website is really just the foundation. It's really just the first step. You need to create, calls to action, landing pages, integrate it with your analytics and your paid ads tracking, all of that. So that's how I branched out into hosting, and then content marketing, and then social media marketing and paid ads management, and eventually became a full stack digital marketing agency.
And that's a big part of getting your word out there. I think now you realize if you would have had all that information, even as an agent back in the day, it would have been very, very different play for you today, right?
Very different. Yeah.
Because one of the things that many of our audience is always looking for is ways to find access to money, ways to find access to deals. Those are probably the two biggest things that a lot of our people listening right now are always looking for. And of course, getting a website together That's a foregone conclusion, right? You definitely need to have a website. But when it comes to putting together the marketing and the message and all that, that's probably where a lot of people, I guess, they don't really know what to do, where to start, right? So what sort of recommendations do you have for people like that are, maybe they have a website, but they have no mechanism for getting the word out there? Like, what do you recommend?
I would say first and foremost, it's no different than opening your mouth and telling people, right? Tell people all day, every day on your Facebook, on your Twitter, on your Instagram. I am a real estate agent. Look at me showing houses. Look at me breaking down walls. Look at me, driving to another side of the city just to look at a property. What happens is that sometimes a lot of your friends and family and colleagues don't really know what it is that you do. And I noticed, at least for myself, I would explain to my family multiple times exactly what it is that I did, that I do on a daily basis. So what happens? Just the fact of, putting up a website and giving it some home builders network in Charleston, South Carolina, right? Mm-hmm. That's not you, right? I mean, granted, it's a brand name. You probably came up with it because you wanted to look bigger than what you really were. But at the end of the day, when you're putting together these deals, you are selling a part of yourself. No different than dating, no different than job interviewing. People are going to do business with you based on the know, like, and trust factor, and they want to know who you are. They want to know what you stand for. So the easier you make it for them to put it on your LinkedIn, to put it on your Facebook, to put it on your Instagram, that's really the basis of it. I mean, the website in the case that we're talking about here is really just the brochure. Right? So say you go to a networking event and you're carrying around a stack of brochures. What happens with those brochures? People read them, and within 24 hours, they're in the garbage. And it's not,
that's right.
It's not an indictment against you. It's just the truth. Right? So what happens? You have to find a way to make yourself memorable to whoever it is that you're passing it out. What the website does is that it's just the brochure. It's the big resume. It's the thing that people can go to. Oh yeah, I remember talking to this guy. What's going to make you memorable and what's going to make you stand out is, what are you actually doing in the marketplace? Are you one of those people that videotapes yourself, that videos yourself breaking down walls and showing people how easy it is to knock down a kitchen? Great, do that. Are you one of those people that can that has a great camera and take really big fisheye photos of yourself, or maybe have a drone circling around the properties? Those are all things that differentiate yourself from the rest of the 10,000 other guys in your city and state that are doing the exact same thing, because everyone's really thinking like, oh, I need to be on social media. It's great. Be social. What does being social mean? Social doesn't mean running up to everybody and screaming at their face, saying, hey, look at me, I'm a real estate broker, I'm a real estate agent. That's not how it works. You meet somebody, maybe you have an icebreaker conversation, shake their hand, you find a common interest. That is a much more effective way to network with somebody. And your social media, your personal branding, and your business branding as well, all need to reflect that. You can't just go out on firing on all guns, trying to make sure that everyone hears you, because if you do that, then you just come off as annoying.
Right. Well, I think a big part of it is that if you're able to deliver value to people on a consistent basis, maybe it's you see an interesting article, you share it with a group. Maybe you're writing something about an encounter you had with a tenant, and here's how I handled it, and maybe you can learn from this interaction, or whatever the case may be. But it's always giving to people. That's what a lot of marketing is, that, right? It's always giving back to the community, and that's social media is a great way to do just that. I mean, it's just an amazing way to get the brand out there, and you do that, in my opinion, with just giving out information. But I think it's probably at the same time one of the hardest parts, right? Is sitting down in front of a computer, at least for some people anyway, and not just consuming the information, but generating the information. That's probably one of the hardest parts, right? Really interacting with people. That's from what I can see anyway. I mean, do you have what sort of things do you do to overcome that?
So the things that you need to do and make you uncomfortable by doing them, hire it out. There are lots of people who speak the same language as you and I are that are especially skilled towards creating content in your industry, locally in your voice. And it's really not that expensive considering the time that you are going to save in investing in that. Think about it this way. You know that you need to create at least one or two posts a day on your social networks. And if it takes you so long to actually write it out and plan it and overthink it, I mean, just think about how much your per hour is worth. And if your per hour, if whatever number you come up with is worth more than $30 an hour, outsource it, right? Because the benefit of you paying someone else to handle that for you so that you can focus on the big deals it's measurable. I mean, it's tangible. It's something you can literally feel. Plus, you're going to feel so much better about yourself because you're not sitting there stressing like, oh, geez, what am I going to talk about today? Right. It's like, let someone else do some of that brain work for you. It's the Mark Zuckerberg example where he wears the same type of clothes every day, right? Simply because he does not want to think about, it's one less decision he needs to make. In the real estate industry, you already have enough items to think about that are going to rattle your cage on a daily basis. Why should social media and marketing be one of them if there are so many other talented people out there that can help you with it so that you could just get that off your plate? You read it for 5 minutes, what your social is going to look like for the day or for the week. Let someone else post it for you.
100%. I mean, there's people, like you said, they'll go out, they'll help you create the content. They'll even do some of the interactions in the groups if you wanted them to, right? They'll even do that, but they'll prepare it. They will set it up on Buffer or some other type of system where it can send it all out day by day, hour by hour if you wanted to, and get the word out about what you're able to do for them. Or maybe, I mean, obviously you can't pitch deals in the case of an investor, but you can at least talk about deals to an investor group or something like that, right? So they know you're active. There's tons of ways of doing that.
So think about it this way. If someone's trying to interact with you on Facebook or on Facebook Messenger, and, they start out with, hey, man, how you doing? That's probably not something you want to get all excited about. But right. If your social media manager is monitoring that conversation and the guy says, I'm looking to buy this property, guess what? That social media manager is going to send you a text message, right? And then it's like, hey, man, wake up. You need to answer this right now. That's the benefit. It's another set of eyes. It's another it's another human working in your business. And that's that's really critical in, especially in the case when time is money, you need to make sure that the right money is working for you.
Now, as far as trying to find some of these resources, right? I mean, there's Freelancer, there's Upwork, and all these, of course, different places like that to try to outsource some of these things. I think everyone's aware of those things, of those websites, but finding the quality people is oftentimes one of the biggest challenges, especially ones that speak real estate. They can certainly speak English, but when it comes to real estate, it has its own different language. How do you overcome those sorts of challenges in that case?
It starts with doing your homework. It starts with putting together a solid job description of exactly what it is that you want for your business. Your personality. What it is that you're looking for. Maybe you can't quite articulate the exact day-to-day job description of what needs to happen. Then articulate the kind of person that you're looking for, right? What happens is when you're putting this together, if you just put out a job description on Upwork that says, I need a social media manager, you're going to get all of these people coming out of the woodwork like cockroaches, right? They're just all going to come over like, yeah, I can do social media. Because social media is one of those things, it was funny. Someone said to me like, really? You pay people to post pictures of cats, which is what they'll probably do anyways on their own free time. You pay people for that? I'm like, yeah, basically, right? There are a lot of people that do this professionally, right? But you need to be able to tell them, I need someone to speak a specific language. I need someone to, and by language, I don't mean English, Spanish, or Portuguese. I mean, the specific language of, do you know what LTV means? Do you know what can you figure out any of these ratios, without Googling them, basic stuff. And these are, just pre-qualifiers, right? You'll get a lot of nice people coming out of the woodwork, but you really want to work with someone who's going to knock it out of the park for you. What I do after that is that I give them a series of tests, like, okay, send me some samples of what you've done before. Send me send me a description of the best project that you worked on. What you're going to find is, as you go through that exercise, and believe me, that exercise is a pain in the ass, because you get so many people that you got to look for. And if you reject the easy, the ones that are obviously can't spell, don't capitalize, whatever, those you'll reject pretty easily. But then you'll still be stuck with about with 5 to 15 people that you have to seriously engage with in order to figure out which one is the best. For me, one of the most important things is chemistry, right? It's just, is this someone I can work with? Is this someone I feel comfortable work with? Is this someone who I don't need to direct? Do I need to sit there and give this person a task every single day, right? A lot of my stuff is recurring, right? We know what's going to happen this week, next month. We already know it. So work ahead, if you can. It's all there. It's all there for you to do. So if you need me to keep on pointing out what you need to do, then yeah, that's not going to work. Right. If I'm trying to explain what the job is or what the vibe of what I'm trying to get across is, that's not going to, that's also a waste of my time as well. I live in Fort Lauderdale, which is next to Miami, right? We have no mountains here, right? Everything is flat as a piece of paper. So if someone's going to, if you're, in Utah, if you're doing real estate in Utah, you're going to want to post pictures of houses that have mountain backgrounds behind them, right? You post pictures of mountain backgrounds for a Miami real estate agent, they're going to be like, come on, like, what are you doing? We don't have mountains here, right? So there's got to be that kind of synergy. There's got to be a little bit of that, knowing who your market is, knowing what you're talking about. And it's a question of really having someone, who is thinking like you, someone who has just a little bit of an entrepreneurial background that thinks like, okay, what does my client exactly want? And what does my audience exactly want? So I look for ownership. I look for competency. I look for chemistry. But above all, I look for someone who can actually do the job and can get it done without a ton of intervention on my part.
Yeah. It's funny. In the corporate world, same where you came from, we used to hire for personality, and they had to have some technical ability, but we had to actually like them first. And if we couldn't get along with someone, or if they didn't have what you just said, that initiative to actually go after a problem and solve it to completion, you don't want to hire someone like that. Yeah, you don't want to hire them like that. It's the same thing when you're hiring people. It doesn't matter what part of the planet they're on. If they don't have that ability to execute a task to completion, even a simple one, it's probably not going to work out. It's probably going to suck.
Chemistry is so important. I think it's a half a degree below competency. And what happens is that when I'm hiring for a writer position, right, for someone to write blog posts and social media and things like that, the biggest fuck up you can do with me is spell something wrong. I'm not a 5th grade school teacher, right? I shouldn't be correcting your grammar. I shouldn't be correcting your capitalization. I know how to do it, but that's not the best use of my time. And if I'm going to be paying you $20, $30 an hour, it certainly better not be, yours as well. It's everyone makes mistakes, right? That I get, but we have so many tools now, your browser now, tells you when you wrote something wrong. You can fire up the free version of Grammarly, to check your spelling and to check your grammar. It's all there. It's free. It takes you literally an extra 30 seconds to get it done. And the amount of people that don't do it, you'd be surprised. So you really got to be careful about looking for people that have that same attention to detail that you do, right? And to actually get that kind of work done.
Well, no, it's funny. One good way to see if they have attention to detail is in the job description at the very end, have them put down their favorite flavor of ice cream or favorite car or favorite color or whatever it is. And if they respond with that, then at least they've read through it. They have attention to detail. It's a small test right at the onset, right? I've actually used that, and it's oddly enough, the people that actually answered that's very simple request are usually the ones that stick around.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you're gonna find and develop your own little test to see what it is that you're best at, or that you're, exactly the type of personality that you're looking for. If you're looking for a millennial to work with you, or if you're looking for someone with more maturity, then great. You can't really go out and say that like, hey, I'm only hiring millennials, but you can sort of put in there some of the things that they light up to, whereas someone who's more mature wouldn't. It really just comes down to really doing your homework first and creating a good job description so that you can actually point to it. And then, of course, there's always going to be one or two people that are just like, well, can you describe that position to me? And it's like, no, I spent 2 hours writing that job description, reject, and you're done. It's things like that you can, that are pretty good qualifiers of how to remove these people from your qualification list.
Yeah, I think you have to be super, super picky. I did have one once that I tried to set up a time to speak with him. And then instead of answering the question, it was a yes or no and a time, he responded with a copy of my job description saying, I can do all these things. And clearly, it's not going to work. The answer is no. Cut your losses. Move on to the next one. No problem. There's plenty of other people out there. So now, Jeff, what do you say to those people out there right now? Maybe they're listening in and they're saying, you know what? Yeah, that all sounds fine and dandy. Oh, it's so easy to go to Upwork and, go through.
It's not easy to go to Upwork. It's not. Right? No. All right. I'll challenge you on that one, but go on.
But how do I do? No, I'm saying like they're being facetious, right? It's like, oh yeah, it's so easy. Like it's not really that easy, right? But man, I don't want to get started, or how hard is it? Or this seems really, really tough. I mean, do you handle that kind of stuff as well? Like, are you able to do that kind of stuff on behalf of someone else and really help them put their team together?
So I don't do that professionally, right? I'm a digital marketing agency. We don't we're not a concierge for VAs. That right. Said, I love talking about this stuff day in and day out. So, if someone does want to reach out and contact me, I will give them a little bit of my time, in order to help them through it. But it's really going to come down to a couple of things. First of all, they got to do that homework and put together a solid job description. They have to be ready to check their superhero personality at the door. And what I mean by that is they have to be able to be ready to delegate, not micromanage. Right. So training's training. You got to train people on what's the Agostino method of doing social media. What's the Jeff Mendelson method of doing social media? What voice do I want it in? Right. Things like that. You're going to have to train for that. But what's going to happen is at some point, you're going to have to be able to let go and say like, okay, this is the person who's going to be able to handle this for me. And if you can get to that point where you're already established in, that you've hired other people before and you have that trust factor with them, it does make things a little bit easier. I think what you need to think about though is really come to terms with, okay, I'm ready for, and I believe in that marketing is going to do great for me. Right. Because what I find is that even people who know that they need marketing but don't believe in it per se, don't do it. And usually I can spot those people in my pre-sales calls, with the digital marketing agency, when they start leading with questions like, well, how much does it cost to build a website? Right. That for me is an immediate, yeah, I don't think this is going to work. I'll still stay with them on the phone, but I just know right away that you better have some damn good redeeming factors 5 more minutes into the call or this thing is done.
Right. Well, I was just going to say, you have to be willing to spend a little bit of money on this. This is not cheap, but you have to be ready to accept all the good that's going to come out of it. Right.
Exactly. And, especially, like doing social media and doing marketing, it's just like advertising in the Valpak. I would take digital marketing and put it up against any other marketing function that anyone has probably already done in the offline world. And I'm talking about radio commercials, advertising in a magazine, advertising in a local magazine, the back covers of the Fort Lauderdale Today magazine, things like that. Those are hella expensive, right? And what happens with all of those? I mean, just to advertise in the Valpak, so the Valpak is full of carpet cleaners and, but it escapes me who else is there, but let's just take the carpet cleaner for a minute. It costs them $1,500, $2,000 to advertise in that and to reach, 20,000 households, right? That is an incredible way. And really, how much money or how many leads do you get from that? Oh yeah, I get 10 phone calls a month. All right, well, bro, do your fifth grade math. Put the $2,000 divided by your your 10 leads. Guess what? You just paid $200 for it. That's crazy.
They better convert. Those leads better convert.
They better convert. And okay, but if you're selling a $200 service, you didn't make any money, man.
Right.
You did not make any money. And it's like, and it's so easy to refute this stuff. Whereas with digital marketing, it's the complete opposite. If I know that I put, just $10 a day on something that I'm spending 50 cents a click on, I know exactly how many people looked at it, how many people clicked on it, and how many people move forward. And then it just becomes a function of, do I spend $500, $500 a month, $1,000 a month, whatever it is. If you already spent that money with Valpak, right? Why would you not spend it, promoting your own services as well? It just escapes me how nearsighted some of this stuff is, and these people fashion themselves, and maybe they've had a lot of great luck, doing this in the past that way, but it's 2020 now, man. It's like, it's time to get with the program. Anyone can go and pick up their phone and, just, if they're looking for an accountant or they're looking for a carpet cleaner or a dog groomer, Google's not going to show you, the dog groomer, the best dog groomer in the world in Los Angeles, California. Who cares? I'm not there. I'm not flying my dog around the country in order to get cut. I want a dog groomer here, and not even in Miami. I want one within a 2-mile radius of where I am, right? So that's why it's so important, to build up these, properties and to be visible, in all these places that you will be seen, and you will be seen locally, so that you can talk to people that are actually going to give you the business in the first place.
I mean, the thing to realize is that social media is a gift from God. I mean, it is just a remarkable way of getting the word out there. And like I said, you can target that message to a specific group, to a specific demographic, anything you want. It's just phenomenal, and way more than those old-fashioned Valpaks and all that. I mean, I remember back in the day, and I sound like an old man now, back in the day, but it's that was the only option. It was going to be radio, TV, mailers, flyers,
or advertising in those real estate books that you get at the front of your supermarkets.
Yes.
Right.
Tremendously expensive. And you have no idea what the feedback is. Whereas if you are promoting on, say, a Facebook, Instagram, to some degree, Twitter, even though that's a very different demographic, different things go on there, you can at least define the marketing message and get immediate feedback and do a test and then test it out. Hey, look, do a $5 test, see what ad works, what resonates, what doesn't. Oh, that one's not doing as well as A is not doing better than B. So let's dump A and keep B, or add another one, and you can't do any of that stuff. And you can do it yourself, which is even better, for virtually pennies, literally pennies, actually. So
yeah, we no longer need to go to Madison Avenue in order to get this stuff done. If you can go to Fiverr, pay $50, have someone do a 30-second video spokesperson for you, then you can take that same 30-second video and run it as a pre-roll anytime someone looks for anything real estate related within a certain zip code. It's pennies on the dollar to put that out there. It's cheaper pennies to even retarget those people afterwards who have already viewed it once. And you can just put all that together and put together a comprehensive package of multi-touch visibility. And the net result is you will be seen in more places, because when someone Googles you, they'll see your name. When they go to Facebook, they'll see your name. When they go to Instagram, they'll see your name. And then when they touch your website, then you can retarget them with a YouTube video pre-roll. They'll see your name again. And, we all have 4K cameras now in our pockets. So there's really not much of an excuse that, even for introverts like me, you can get out there and actually put your message out. And, someone's going to respond to it, because people love the authenticity. They love the connection. When they hear your voice, and when they hear your, how, they can tell how well the subject. And I know for example, that at least, 2 out of 10 people that I speak with probably don't like me, and that's fine. Right. I'm totally cool with that. We weren't meant to be, moveon.org. We're done. Right. But, the other 8 are, they like what they hear, and they want to learn more, and they realize that I have something to say and I have something to share. Excellent. And none of that is going to get out if you hide behind this corporate name that you registered with the state that you happen to be in. Right. Just get out there and put your name on it. Put your name on everything.
Yeah. You know what, Jeff? I think it's because as kids, we were taught never talk to strangers, keep your head down. And that's the whole thing of, we're trained to be good corporate citizens, in the sense that a good employee really is what it is, right? So what does that mean? Do your 40 hours, don't explore beyond it, that kind of thing. And it's sometimes if you want to get the word out there and build your business, that type of mentality doesn't work. You have to talk to the strangers. The strangers are the ones that you can help, and they in turn reward you with income. So
exactly. Your friends and family pool is really just that. It's a very small pool. You'll burn through that very, very quickly. So you need to start target. So the cool thing about Facebook marketing, for example, let's say, for example, you have an email list, and I'm not talking a large one. Let's say you have 100 emails of people in your industry. That's great. You can load those emails up into Facebook and create a lookalike audience, because it stands to reason that a 35-year-old man who makes $70,000 a year has friends that are in that same economic position and more or less in the same stage of their life. So you can then go and target his friends or people with that same demographic within a certain zip code.
Yep.
And you could and what you should be doing is list building, because all of these platforms, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, all of that, you don't own any of this, right? At any one time, you post the wrong thing, you could be kicked off from Facebook for 5 days, for a month, or even forever. And there's no one to talk to, and there's no one to call if that happens. And so the only thing that you truly own is your list. So you need to make sure that you're getting those people onto your list as soon as possible, so that you can market to them as your own product, right? Not as one of many followers on Facebook, for example. Right.
And deliver value too. Give them value. Yeah.
So you get someone to write that for you.
Yep.
If you're talking about rehabs, or going into blighted neighborhoods or whatever, there are tons of articles, there are tons of topics you can go on there. And if you are good enough at segmenting your audience and sending the right message to that particular segment, you will be creating a new tribe of followers that can eventually help you and will be your customers going forward.
That's right. Now tell us a little bit about your firm now. So you handle some of these aspects. So maybe we could talk a little bit about some of the marketing strategies that you guys do.
Sure. So actually I run a couple of brands, but specifically what Effectivo Social is the value-based social media product, where for $500 a month, you get 30 days worth of content. And we create everything for you. It's basically presented as a package. You know exactly how much it's going to cost, and you know exactly what you're going to get at the end. So there are no contracts. You don't need to sign anything really with me. You just have to fill out a questionnaire that explains, what it is, what message you're trying to achieve. And we go ahead and we create that content for you, and then we can go and schedule it out for you as well. The other thing that I work on is you mentioned the jeffmendelson.com site where I host a podcast called The One Big Tip. And that's basically a short form podcast where we discuss one big tip per episode and why it's important for you to use in your business.
Excellent. No, love it. Love it. Now, how do you see the next 5 years working out for your companies?
Yeah, that's funny. With especially with COVID happening to us this year. You know what it is that I feel that the tools are going to get sharper. As much as people are complaining about, lack of privacy, this, lack of privacy, that, your privacy went out the window, 10 years ago, honestly. And what's going to happen is, we do have these incredible tools in the palm of our hands, and at its core, they're really all about getting us the information that we need at the exact moment that we need it. Right. So once you start thinking in those terms, then then your marketing needs to adapt to that. You need to be able to give someone the information or the value that they're looking for at that exact moment. Today, I may not be in the right moment to buy a house, but tomorrow I may be. So you need to be able to have your message spring out at me right when the indicators that the social networks and, these other advertising platforms provide to get the word out for you. Right. It's been rumored that, that Target knows when a woman is pregnant, before her husband does. Right. Simply because of the way she searches on the site or the types of things that they do on Facebook and all that. Wow. That's great. It's like, with Facebook, I joke that, if I want to find if I want to target women aged 30 to 45 in Sandusky, Ohio, that were born in Colombia and have toddlers, I'll find all 7 of them. Right. And, and if that's the niche you want to market to, Facebook's the place. Right. Or if you want to hit somebody when they're looking, if they need a carpet cleaner, you won't necessarily go to Facebook for that. You'll go to Google. So Google's going to provide you the 5 carpet cleaners in your area. They're not going to provide you a carpet cleaner in Los Angeles if you don't live there, right? They're going to provide you that exact information that you're looking for at that exact moment in time. And that's what we specialize in, is Excellent. Figuring out what is that, that 0 moment of truth, as Google says, and how to get the right message in front of the right person at the right time.
All right, guys. Well, if you want to reach out to Jeff, you can reach him through his website at jeffmendelson.com. I hope you got a lot of really, really good insight on some of the strategies to create brand awareness, and also, of course, the importance of digital marketing for your real estate business. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed the Bulletproof Cashflow podcast.